Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Rand Al Thor 19, the man with the million for the Xbox 2 podcast. And with me, as always, my right hand man, the one and only Jez Corden from Windows Central. What's going on, Jez?
Hey, pal. I'm good, man. I'm rocking and rolling. We are an hour closer to 1 week only, Rand.
An hour closer.
Your clock's moved, but ours hasn't yet. So it's actually 9 here, when usually it'd be 10 o'clock. We're an hour closer for 1 week.
I don't get daylight savings time anymore, man. Like, you know what? I love it when the clocks go back, so you get the extra hour of sleep. Especially when I was like in high school, you get that extra hour of partying. But then I always hated it when the clocks went forward again. It always throws me for a loop. And I don't know, man.
I hate it. I think they should just stop doing it. It's so confusing and annoying. Why don't they just stop doing it? I don't know.
And not even like
a podcast about it.
We should. And not only that, but like I think there's a state that doesn't recognize daylight savings time. I think it's Arizona. They don't change their clocks.
Those smart people.
Yeah.
It's annoying. But this week is special for another reason besides daylight savings.
Oh, is it special because Xbox announced their E3 plans?
No, but that is also special.
That is true. Oh yeah, it's the 1-year anniversary of me and you starting this podcast.
Yes, it is. And it's also the 3-year anniversary of me working in Windows Central. This is a week of special things.
Indeed, it is a week of great like news. And who would have thought when we started this, when we actually were having those conversations on Skype about doing a podcast or whatever, that here we would be a year later actually still doing the podcast.
Yeah. And it was barely even planned. It was just like, yeah, let's do a podcast. Why not?
Yeah.
And here we are on iTunes now.
iTunes, SoundCloud,
podcasts, and
we're everywhere.
Places. We're everywhere. We're going up in the world, Rand. Me and you, brother.
That's right.
We're gonna take it over. We're gonna be the next. I don't really know any famous podcasters. We're gonna be the next Major Nelson. Maybe. No.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things we randomly decided to do one day. I was still doing TXR at that point. Shout out to TXR and all the guys there: Maka, Tim, South, Doc, Inferno. Pour one out for the homies. And when me and you were talking, it was just like, hey, we have these great conversations in Skype. Why don't we just turn it into a podcast? And that the first one was March 15th last year, and we got the name from a community member, a guy who watches the show a lot, Stickfigure. He said Xbox 2, and that's what we went with. And the show's grown over the course of time, and hopefully it gets bigger and better as it goes. And to celebrate, I actually have 2 years of Xbox Live Gold that I'll be giving away. I'll be giving away a code, 1-year code during the show. So somebody in chat will win this. And then I'll have a giveaway on Twitter. So for people that, watch the show on SoundCloud or iTunes on Fridays or whatever, can also have, a chance to win. I'll run that for like a week. But yeah, we're giving away 1 year during the show and then a year later. So if any of you guys need Xbox Live Gold or want to stockpile some, this is your chance to win. I haven't thought about how to give it away yet because I'm just a noob. I'm an amateur. But maybe we'll take some, recommendations from chat to how to do that. But yeah. So what else has been going on, Jez? Anything interesting?
What else has been going on? I stayed up till 5 a.m. reviewing Surviving Mars last night, so I'm extremely tired today. Other than that, I'm gearing up for Sea of Thieves Central. It's a big Sea of Thieves week next week. So, and already it seems like there's stuff in Sea of Thieves that wasn't in the final beta that I didn't even know about. Like tea. The game has tea, Rand.
Tea.
It has tea. You can trade tea in Sea of Thieves.
That is very, very interesting. You can trade tea.
Yeah, which I'm a big fan of tea, being the British stereotype that I am. So that pleases me greatly. Other than that, Far Cry 5 soon as well.
That is true. There's a lot of games next week. A lot of games. Not only do we have Sea of Thieves finally on the 20th, You also have A Way Out. Remember? F the Oscars?
Oh my
That is
god.
that is next
Yeah.
week as well on Friday. And
You
then
know,
on Tuesday the week after, you have Far Cry 5.
it's kind of sad because we got a review code for A Way Out, but the problem is the servers aren't live yet. So
Mhm.
and it's a co-op game. Like you have to play it in co-op, and there's no AI co-op partner. You have to play it either coach co-op or over Xbox Live. But because the servers aren't live, you have to play in coach co-op, and nobody on the team's got a friend in real life, so can't play it yet.
I know I have trouble getting codes for review codes for EA. I'm not big enough for them, but I'm definitely going to buy the game because the game looks really cool. It looks like a grown up version of Brothers, really. Which Brothers is a game I greatly enjoyed. So next week is going to be big. Sea of Thieves will be playing a lot of, A Way Out and Far Cry 5. I got my fingers crossed for Far Cry 5. I hope it's great. I hope it's not Far Cry 3.5 or Far Cry 4.5. And then April 10th is Extinction. That game looks kind of cool.
Yeah, Extinction. It's kind of like it's from Iron Galaxy, who made Killer Instinct, or at least contributed to making Killer Instinct, and they are building a. It's kind of like Attack on Titan ish, with a hint of Shadow of the Colossus, I guess, fighting giant monsters. I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, it kind of gave me a little vibe of like Shadow of the Colossus with those giant monsters that you take down. At least that's
Yeah,
kind of what I got out from it.
yeah. It looks pretty cool. It's definitely on my radar. But it feels like for the last few weeks, Rand, we've struggled for news and things to talk about, and then this week it's just exploded, and now there's all these games coming out and all this news coming out. Microsoft GDC's coming up, and the E3 leaks are starting to come out, and The Verge reported about avatars coming soon, and then Mikey Barra said, "No,
It'll ship when it's ready,
yeah,
yeah, all that stuff. So yeah, we
wow."
got a lot of topics to discuss. I'll run them down for the people listening. We're going to be obviously talking about Xbox's plans at this E3 since Microsoft officially announced them today. We're going to be talking about Inside Xbox a little bit, even though I'm the only one that watched it because Jez is a terrible journalist. Didn't even bother. Didn't even bother. We'll talk about the crossplay shenanigans going on between Xbox and PlayStation. The news that kind of leaked today about a Splinter Cell and Tomb Raider, GDC stuff, a whole bunch of stuff, plus the giveaway for a year live that'll happen live in chat. Somebody in chat's going to win, and then a giveaway later on Twitter today. So a lot to look forward to. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us for 1 year. It's pretty amazing. So before we get into any of that stuff, though, I gotta ask, Jez, what have you been doing? What have you been gaming? On PC, on Xbox, on PlayStation, on Switch? What have you been up to?
Well, not PlayStation or Switch, sadly, because I am so close to getting a PlayStation, because there's so many good games on it now that like exclusives that it's becoming harder and harder to ignore. I just have physically nowhere to put it. I live in this tiny little cramped space with my girlfriend, and she'd be annoyed if I tried to squeeze some other stuff in here. But I've been playing mostly Surviving Mars on Xbox and PC, testing both versions out. Surviving Mars, we talked about it a bit last week, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you are interested in Surviving Mars, it's a strategy survival simulation game where you try and colonize Mars, a city builder like City Skylines. It's coming to Xbox, PC, and PS4. Got a review coming to that on Windows Central tomorrow, so that's the 15th of March. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. Other than that, Rand, I've been playing Monster Hunter still. I can't get enough of this game yet. I'm just finishing off the last Elder Dragons, moving into the end game now. And earlier today, Capcom announced the dates for new Monster Hunter World DLC. So they're adding a giant T-Rex thing that's famous in the series, I believe, with tiny little arms, tiny little arms, but like this giant green, really aggressive T-Rex thing called Devil Yo.
Devil, okay.
Devil Yo. or Devil Joes. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but yeah. So that looks pretty awesome. And there's a bunch of other free content planned for Monster Hunter, and basically they are showing games like Destiny and The Division how to do a live service game. And so I'm really excited that Capcom seem to be doing so well with that. I just hope they don't like screw it up and go down the whole microtransaction route, because I've just been really impressed with it so far. Like the only microtransactions and DLC for Monster Hunter so far, Rand, they're just like purely cosmetic, like emotes and stuff like that, but they're not even tied to loot boxes. You just, if you want them, you can just buy them outright. So I think that's how it should be done. No loot crates.
Maybe it's how it will be done for maybe this year. People want to avoid the Star Wars Battlefront 2 shenanigans,
Yeah, because everyone was saying, because State of Decay 2, it was like, oh, it's going to be $30 because it's going to be this live service game full of microtransactions and card packs. But Microsoft were like, nope, no loot crates in State of Decay 2. Thank God. I think there's a season pass, if I remember right, or maybe not. I don't know. But they are going to be doing post-launch support in some form. But no loot crates. No loot crates. I'm so tired of loot crates, man. It's been so nice to have Monster Hunter just having no loot crates. It's just been, you don't feel dirty when you're playing it.
What about State of Decay 2 Collector Edition but with no game? I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as well, I suppose, in a bit. But that's pretty much me, Ran. That's all I've been playing. I don't have that much time to game, sadly. But
I get it.
All the gaming I have been doing has been on Mixer, streaming live, usually Monster Hunter, because I can't get enough of it. I think it's brilliant. What about you? What have you been playing?
I got weaseled back into PUBG for a few games. And I mean, we won a couple, but I don't know. I think I'm over PUBG, to be honest with you. At this, right. It just doesn't feel the same to me. And maybe it's because I spent 300 hours playing the game, but I don't even know if I'll come back to the game when the achievements go live. Which the achievements are up on Steam, so you can take a look at them. On the test server. I don't know. I probably just wore myself out like playing that game that much, and it's not a lot of fun anymore. But I also played Cube 2, which I put up a review for.
I reviewed the original Cube, and I thought it was quite good.
It is so much better than the first Cube. Like
really?
Yeah, it is everything a sequel should be. Better in every single way. The puzzles are better. The story's better. It's in 4K Ultra HD on the X because it's enhanced, so the game looks gorgeous. The art design is better. Like the voice acting's better. Everything about Cube 2 is better. Like it elevated it from like a kind of a good but not great puzzle game to like a fantastic one. It's very Portal-esque. Like I really enjoyed going through Cube 2 and using some of the puzzle and it's pretty great. So I actually really recommend that game.
I'm gonna give it a look then. I did like the original, but I thought it was like it was like definitely an indie game. It was quite clunky and it ended quite abruptly, I thought. So it's cool to hear that they've improved upon it.
It's definitely improved. It's what I would love to see from all developers. Like you have a really kind of good first game, right? And then the sequel, you just take it up a notch. Everything's better. It's kind of what Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2, or like Halo to Halo 2. Like you just kind of learn, you grow from the experience of doing the first game, and then your sequel's just better in every category. That's what I like to see. And that's what's kind of disappointing about, like Rise and Sunset Overdrive not getting sequels, is because I felt those games had the potential to be better. Like Rise 2 could have, done things better than Rise 1 and could have been a more complete package with like better combat and things like that. But unfortunately, we'll never know, What else am I? Oh, I finished my first PlayStation VR game, Jez.
Oh yeah. Which I saw you tweeting about that actually. Is it called Moss?
Called Moss. So it's an indie title. It's made by PolyArc, developed and published. I know some people think it's It's a Sony. It might be funded by Sony in some way, shape, or form because it's a VR title, but it's definitely published and developed by them. So I posted my review earlier, and I gotta say, what an experience Moss was. It's really hard to describe VR to someone who doesn't really know. Well, you know what VR is. You know how VR like feels and looks, but it's really hard to kind of explain it in a video form, especially when you're watching the video and you don't have that like reference point of how it looks in VR and how it plays. It's a 4-hour game, and I was completely enthralled the entire 4 hours. I played it in 2-hour sittings, and I didn't get a headache, and it was just one of the most incredible like experiences in gaming for me. Wow. And I think it might have been because it was my first true VR experience, and it was a phenomenal game. You know,
it sounds cool. Like I need to check it out. I still like. I have my Windows Mixed Reality headset, and I just still find all the cables and all that stuff to be super inconvenient. We've talked about VR quite a bit on other podcasts and stuff, but I am kind of excited for the technology. If they start to like fix some of the the usability issues, the lack of convenience, I just hate those cables, man. I was playing Super Hot VR, right, which I think is also on PSVR. And I highly recommend you play that. It's like Super Hot was made for VR.
Right. My buddy Magic and Maka both said the same, that Super Hot VR is amazing, and I love the regular version. But they both said if you don't have the PlayStation Move controllers and you only have a wireless controller, don't bother. And I don't have the I don't have the Move controllers. I just so
yeah, you kind of need the Move controllers, I think. But the thing is, Rand, when I was playing Super Hot VR on Windows Mixed Reality, I was loving it, but I was also like getting tangled up in the wires, man. Like turning around to shoot things, and the cables wrapping around your legs, and it's like, oh my god, it just feels stupid.
Well, that's the thing about VR is it's like the PlayStation VR helmet feels heavy on my head, right? There's a lot of wires running across everywhere, and I don't like the earbuds that come with it, so that I kind of always like feel pressure on my ears. But like even with all those distractions, the game was amazing. Like it was okay. So the setup for the game is you're a reader. You're actually involved in the story. You're reading this as a book, so you're kind of looking down as you would at a desk, right? And just imagine a playset on your desk. But like the things normally would be in the playset, like move, and you can kind of stand up and look around and kind of peer in corners, and you control this Quill, this mouse. So you control her actions, and then she'll need to like jump across certain things. So you actually interact by using the controller. You move it forward, you grab onto something, pull it out. And that's basically how you solve all the rest of the games, but it's so lifelike. It's so like you could reach out and touch the stuff. And that's why it's like, in my opinion, really good for VR, because it's like you're overseeing this area, this playset, and you can interact with everything in there. So even though it's not first person, it's just this experience of like imagining when you were kids and you get like a playset or Lego playset or whatever, and you're just above it, like working down on it. It's kind of that like feeling for me, and that's one of the reasons why like I can't wait for Moss 2, like because it is I don't know. It was an incredible experience, and I don't know what else to really say about it. Watch the review, do a little bit more in depth. But other than that, what else I've been playing? I played a little more Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch.
All right.
Fantastic game. Oh man, that game's so good. It looks so great on my TV, and I don't use the Switch in portable mode. It's hooked up to the TV. And
what about when you go to the bathroom? Isn't that the whole point of the Switch? So you could take it to the bathroom?
Yeah, so you can play Skyrim in the bathroom while you're... No, I don't know. I've never been a portable gamer. So I like to sit down with... Because here's the thing. Like, the Switch is great, but I don't like... I don't know. Like, I don't like the Joy-Cons. I don't like having it in my hands, and it just doesn't feel right. I don't know, maybe it's how I game, like, but sitting in front of the TV with the Pro controller just feels like the right way to play Super Mario Odyssey. And I'm sure people in chat might disagree that they're like, no, man, Super Mario Odyssey is meant to be played on the go on that screen with those, where the Joy-Cons are spread apart and stuff. It doesn't feel right to me. But I enjoy playing it on the TV. But yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff. Like I also have I want to check out Vala, which is Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, comes out this weekend, and Tesla versus Lovecraft. Obviously the big games next week, which I'll be playing and reviewing. There's a lot of cool stuff. And shout out to the Ravenflow for the $5 super chat. What would you think of a Killzone VR move game?
Wow.
I mean, I've never played a Killzone. Well, no, scratch that. I played Killzone 1 on the PS2. Remember when Killzone 1 was referred to as the Halo killer?
Ooh.
I didn't really like Killzone. I didn't play 2 or 3. I recently did buy Killzone Shadowfall because it was on the PlayStation flash sale for $5. And I'll try it anything for $5. So I don't know. I probably was not the best person to ask that because I don't really have any attachment to Killzone. But I mean, hey, like I after experiencing this thing with Moss in VR, I kind of want to like check out Resident Evil 7 in VR.
I tell you something like about these VR experiences. I think it's the wrong thing sometimes to just take an existing brand you've got and make a VR game and say like, this is the game you love, but now it's in VR, and it's like people are going to automatically love like imagine that because they kind of did this with Windows Mixed Reality, right? They made like a Halo VR game for Windows Mixed Reality that's more like a demo than an actual game, just to show what's possible. And I think that's the wrong approach to take, because a fan of Halo is going to have a different set of expectations to a fan of VR. And I think like if you're going to go down that route, you need to do something like Resident Evil, where the game is designed for both inputs, kind of. And I don't really, like Daniel says in the chat, remember Fable the Journey for Connect, and that's exactly it. It's like you just taking a popular brand and slapping it onto a system that maybe doesn't necessarily support that experience properly. And I think with Killzone maybe and Halo as well, I think potentially what you're doing there is you're going to just create a sense of a gimmick. So I think and like with Connect as well, where they had like a bunch of Connect games that used Microsoft IP, they just kind of cheapen the IP, and it just comes across more like, oh, this is Microsoft trying to force something on us that we don't want to force. But if you have a game like Moss, which seems to be designed from the ground up for VR and it's its own thing, and I think that works a lot better for introducing people to the system. So I'm not a fan of just shoehorning franchises onto peripherals that maybe aren't necessarily the best place for that franchise or that game. So that's what I think anyway. I don't know. I just went off on a tangent there for you. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I mean, I did. I always enjoy when you go off on tangents. So yeah, I forgot what I was talking. Oh, it's the games I've been playing. Yeah, I mentioned all the games I'm playing, but definitely if you have PSVR, please get Moss. Check it out. It's a 4-hour game. You could maybe argue it's a tad bit expensive at $30 for a 4-hour experience, but it is an incredible 4-hour experience. I'll say that much. And my plans for the rest of the week. Let's see. I was planning on playing Vala. I was planning on finishing up God of War 3. I actually kind of want to play Ratchet and Clank. And you know what? Kid Smooth is making me want to play Bloodborne. Watching him go through Bloodborne is kind of making me want to play that. But man, there are so many games and so many new ones coming out that it's a good time. It's a good time to be a gamer. So let's talk about some of the stuff. You want to go over some of the leaks that happened today and yesterday before we get into the big shit?
Sure, man. Let's go for it.
Splinter Cell. I don't know if you saw this, Jazz, but there was an Amazon listing for Splinter Cell that Ubisoft themselves put up yesterday, which they eventually took down. But it was called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 2018. My thought is that it's an older Splinter Cell that they're redoing.
Really?
I think so. Like, I would look. I just want Splinter Cell to come back in any way, shape, or form. Like, I know there was a Splinter Cell being made at one point because I know somebody who's literally played it. But maybe they went back to the drawing board for whatever reason. Maybe this whole mandate of all Ubisoft games have to be a games as a service game, open world, which maybe doesn't necessarily fit very well with the Splinter Cell game. But the way it was like worded, since Ubisoft put it up themselves, was Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 2018. Now, if you go back and look at the first Splinter Cell, it's called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. Usually when you do remakes or remasters and release them again, they sometimes add the date of the year that it comes out. Like Shadow of the Colossus remake is called Shadow of the Colossus 2018. So there's a part of me that thinks that this might be the first Splinter Cell or a remaster of Blacklist. Because Ubisoft has strangely gotten into the habit of remastering stuff. Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, which is a game that came out in 2013, is finally coming to Xbox and PlayStation 4 next week. So I wouldn't put it past Ubisoft to take the last Splinter Cell, which was Blacklist, which was 5 years ago, and put it out for like a remaster to kind of prepare people for the eventual return of a new Splinter Cell. What do you think?
I think if you're right that it is a remaster or something like that, I think they would have to announce the fact that there's a new game coming first, because people have been begging for a new Splinter Cell game for ages and ages, like a return to classic Splinter Cell and all that stuff. I'm not that familiar with the franchise personally.
You're killing me, Jazz. you like hate everything I love.
I don't know why. I mean, I played the first Splinter Cell, but the thing is, I think those were during the MMO years when I was playing Final Fantasy 11 and then World of Warcraft. I missed so many great games around because of MMOs in my late teens, early 20s, and mid 20s, frankly. But I think like if they are doing a remake, wouldn't that be, as a fan of Splinter Cell, Rand, wouldn't that be really annoying if Ubisoft's big announcement at E3 was just a remake of an older Splinter Cell and not a new Splinter Cell? Well, wouldn't it be better if they said, yes, we are remaking a classic Splinter Cell, but also we're building a new Splinter Cell that's coming out.
That's kind of what I was hoping. Like, to bridge the gap of like, a new Splinter Cell coming in 2 years, maybe as a launch title for next gen, right? You need kind of those type of games to launch with next gen. In the meantime, here's the first Splinter Cell redone, something to kind of bridge the gap. I think it could be cool. I just need Splinter Cell to exist, please. Like, whether it's a remake of the first, whether it's a remake of Blacklist, whether it's a brand new game, just give me Splinter Cell again. That's all I'm asking, Ubisoft. Can you not do this for me, please? God. And I doubt it'll be Xbox exclusive. I don't think there's no way. Oh, no, and people going for that angle, not happening. So that's the one bit, Splinter Cell. The other one that kind of broke today was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the leakiest game of all time, apparently, because not only was this game leaked on a subway train, right, and then like Square Enix eventually confirmed. There was a press release or a tweet that came out that said, tune in tomorrow for the official unveiling of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. But, those hackers, not really hackers, but somebody looked at the source code of the website, and it literally says Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be launching September 14th, 2017, like in the source code of the website.
That's hilarious.
So here we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider coming out September 14th. It's not done by Crystal Dynamics. I believe it's being made by Eidos Montreal. Really? And yeah, Crystal Dynamics is working on that Avenger project that they announced a while back.
Avenger project? What?
Yeah, they Square Enix and Marvel signed a huge deal. You don't remember?
Oh right, yeah. Sorry.
And Crystal Dynamics is like is the main studio working on those games, so that's why they moved.
That makes me sad.
It does.
That means they're not working on Legacy of Kain.
I mean, they're a big studio, but yeah, they're probably not working on Legacy of Kain. And Eidos Montreal used to work on Deus Ex, but they put that on ice. So I've seen reports that the trailer for the game was already running in German theaters. I've seen screenshots of it, and the release date is true. It is September 14th. Also, it is for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So for those of you hoping for some sort of timed exclusivity for Xbox, not happening.
Oh,
So,
man. Rip.
dude, I can't wait because like I enjoy all the Tomb Raiders. I enjoyed the older Tomb Raiders, like Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3, the Tomb Raider Underworld. I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan. I don't let my love for the old ones conflict with my enjoyment of the new ones. It's like they're separate things. I enjoyed the old ones and I also enjoyed the new ones. Like I really enjoyed the reboots.
I tell you something. I don't enjoy the rebooted games that much.
Killing everything I love.
I know.
Everything.
I'll tell you why, right? I think the shooting mechanics are really weak in the new Tomb Raider games. They don't feel satisfying to me. The AK-47, like even fully upgraded, it just feels poorly designed. And also, I think it's silly that it's a lot more like Gears of War. Like since when, right? Was someone just messaged me saying that the Shadow of the Tomb Raider trailer just leaked during the show.
Well, I mean, I know it was playing in German theaters because I've seen the screenshots. So yeah, it's only a matter of time before somebody put up the whole trailer.
Yeah, but anyway, back to my point. I don't like the whole Gears of War Tomb Raider-ness. You know, it's like why is she a huge murderer now? You know, I mean, yeah, okay, she's defending herself and stuff, but it just feels slightly off. I don't know. It just feels weird that she's totally happy to gun down hundreds of people.
Isn't this the whole like Nathan Drake is a sociopath murderer because he's killed like 4,000 people in Uncharted? Like the same people that say the same thing about Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake's a good guy, but yet he kills thousands of people in Uncharted. You know, same thing with like Lara Croft. Like, yeah, but then she goes and murders everybody in Tomb Raider, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just feels kind of off to me, like not just Tomb Raider, but like loads of these sorts of games. Like this is like ultimately she's trespassing on on private property a lot of the time, and like she's putting herself in these situations where there are people with guns trying to kill her, but she's put herself in that situation, and now she's killing them. You know, it just feels weird to me. I don't know. Everything about that feels weird.
I mean, you're not the first person to kind of bring up that aspect of the game. I just kind of enjoy the games for what they are. I don't really think much about the philosophy of like, oh, is she a serial killer or is Nathan Drake a serial killer? Sometimes I'll wonder, like, man, where are they getting all these bad guys from? Who's paying these people? There's thousands of them. You know, sometimes that'll come into my mind.
That too, though. Like everything about it just feels weird, you know. And like at least in Indiana Jones, for example, they make it so basically he's fighting the Nazis or something.
Oh yeah, or Halo, you're fighting the Covenant, the aliens, and Gears of War, you're fighting, you know, the locusts. So they're not human. But I really enjoyed Tomb Raider. I adored Rise of the Tomb Raider. So I will be there day one. I will be there day one. I really enjoy those games.
Sorry, Ran. My Amazon Echo decided to interrupt us there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're really well built games, but for some reason they just don't resonate with me that much. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I mean, I'm there day one. Type a 1 in chat if you're there day one, or a 2 in chat if you don't care about Tomb Raider. I'm kind of interested to see how many people really enjoy the Tomb Raider games, because I'm one of them and I can't wait to play it.
I think it's the sense that, I mean, it's not so much the sense that she's doing that. It's the sense that she used to be a normal archaeologist and now she's this badass, you know, murderer, you know. And it's not just Tomb Raider that does this. It's like Far Cry 4 is so totally like this. Like the Far Cry 4, the dude arrives in Nepal and he's a totally normal guy, and then within like 30 minutes, now he's a commando stealth dude getting involved in the Civil War, killing literally everyone.
Don't think about it too much, Jazz. It's video games, man.
It ruined my immersions.
I get it. But a lot of ones there, a few too. So it seems like everybody's excited for Tomb Raider again, September 14th. And I was wondering, like, remember we were talking, like, last week about Call of. Did we talk about it? I'm not sure when the Call of Duty stuff actually. Did we talk about Call of Duty last week?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we'll tie it in here. Like, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is a real thing. They announced that, and not only is it not releasing in November like every single other Call of Duty game ever made, it's actually releasing in the beginning of October, the 14th. And I was kind of curious how that would kind of have a domino effect on other games. And, here's Shadow of the Tomb Raider clearly avoiding it, and clearly avoiding not only Black Ops, but Red Dead, and coming out like a month beforehand on the 14th. So I'm just kind of curious how some of the other games are going to have to move. Like, is Battlefield 5 going to want to sit in between, Black Ops 4 and Red Dead, kind of like how Titanfall 2 had to sit in between Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare and kind of die out? Or is Battlefield 5 just going to go to November, like just a month after Black Ops 4, and just kind of live there? It's going to be kind of interesting to see what developers and publishers do, because October is pretty much a don't release your game here at this point, between Black Ops 4 and Red Dead, right?
I think Battlefield is a strong enough series to stand on its own two legs. I don't think I don't think it's necessarily a great comparison with how Titanfall got screwed by that situation, because I don't think Titanfall is as strong as a game, and also I don't think Titanfall has strong enough differentiation against Call of Duty, especially since Call of Duty started doing the whole mech thing. But I feel like Battlefield appeals to a different kind of gamer, I think, than Call of Duty. A different kind of shoot fan, like because it has the open world aspects, the vehicles and stuff like that. So I think Battlefield can survive launching close to both of those games, because I think like either people who are going to buy Battlefield are probably not going to buy Call of Duty like me, or they'll probably buy both. I don't think someone is necessarily going to choose Call of Duty over. If someone was going to buy Call of Duty over Battlefield, they're probably never going to buy Battlefield anyway. Maybe. I don't know. Same with Red Dead. I don't think people would necessarily choose Red Dead over Battlefield. They'll probably get both or just one or the other. I don't know. But I think when it comes to Titanfall, though, I think people necessarily probably would pick Call of Duty over Titanfall and stuff. Just because it gets silly,
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just like I kind of like look at it from like the industry perspective of how does like Call of Duty moving from its normal spot in November to October change things, and how does because clearly like you don't want to release the game anymore, and October is kind of like a dead zone for anybody else. So it's smart for Tomb Raider to get in September. Probably would. I mean, I kind of agree with you that Battlefield 5 is a big enough franchise, but still at the same token, they probably don't want to be in between both, because sales are going to be cannibalized, and clearly like Black Ops wanted to get out before Red Dead, because they feel Red Dead is just going to clean up, right? And maybe, Call of Duty still sell millions, but maybe they would have sold less if they released after Call of Duty, because not only does Red Dead have a 40-50 hour campaign, it's also got multiplayer, it's got battle royale, all that stuff. So they figured move ahead of it. And if Battlefield 5 smart, maybe they just release in the middle of November, like the 15th or something, to get kind of enough distance between both those games and people wanting a new shooter or something. I don't know.
I would personally think it's probably best to launch before Red Dead if possible, because it's going to be interesting to see how well Red Dead can retain people after the campaign's over. For example, once I completed GTA 5's story, I dropped it like a brick, because I just didn't like the whole. I just didn't like the multiplayer of GTA Online at all. But a lot of people did. Like, millions of people play it every day, and it's a huge cash cow for Rockstar and stuff like that. So like, if Red Dead can retain users like GTA 5 did, I think that could cause a problem for Battlefield and Call of Duty. Come to think of it.
Right. Shout out to Stickfigure in chat. He has a question that I think is appropriate. Do launch dates matter anymore with PvP multiplayer? Look at Siege. Siege is a game that came out in 2015, and Season 3 just released last week or 2 weeks ago, and they had the most concurrent users they ever had. And it's a game that's kind of bucking industry trends. It's growing every single year. So, Jazz, do release dates matter anymore when you have kind of this games as a service mantra where the game is going to live forever instead of just being a one and done type thing?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I'm probably going to go back to Rainbow Six Siege next week. That's another game, Rand. Like Rainbow Six Siege has got the new outbreak mode with those weird, crazy monsters next week, and it actually looks really, really cool. So I'll probably be going back to Rainbow Six Siege next week.
Well, you know that mode's already available. I played it last week.
Is it really?
Yeah, it came out on the 6th. No, it came out on the 6th. I played it. Here's a tip for any of you guys who own an Xbox One X, because Outbreak is 30 frames. But if you disable VSync in the settings, Outbreak will run at 100 frames on the Xbox One X. So a little tip for you guys there. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty cool. It's a fun mode. It's like Left 4 Dead, but it's like once you play it a few times, it's like, there's no real reason to play it anymore, you know. Oh. But it's actually kind of cool to at least play a couple times. Like the maps are really nice, and it's a pretty cool mode. But yeah, now people like Sam has mentioned, hey, what about Bethesda? You know, they're showing stuff at E3. And it's going to get crazy. What if they come out and they do their typical, here's a game, it's coming out this end of the year, and what happens if it's Elder Scrolls 6? What if Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out in November?
Elder Scrolls 6 against Red Dead Redemption 2? That'd be like...
And the Battlefield 5? I mean...
The Battle of the Titans? You know.
Let me ask you here. Do you think we're going to get Elder Scrolls 6 this year? Whether it's an announcement at E3 or releasing this year?
I have no idea. I mean... Announcement wise, I mean it's been long enough, hasn't it? But it should, man. I hope so. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls series.
How long has it been?
Many years. I don't know exactly.
Okay, but still, like Todd Howard's team, who does the Elder Scrolls games, their last game was Fallout 4, which released in 2015. They tend to take their time. It's usually like a 3 or 4 year gap. So do you think in 3 years they were able to build Elder Scrolls 6 by that team? Or do you think maybe it's next year?
I don't know. It's so hard to tell because you don't know how much further they're going to push it, because they've created this expectation now around the Elder Scrolls where it's so much bigger than the previous game. Like Skyrim was so much, bigger and denser than Oblivion. Oblivion was like larger than Morrowind and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people say Morrowind's still the better game, but I don't know. That's up for debate. But in any case, and I remember after Skyrim launched, Rand, do you remember like everyone was like comparing open worlds to Skyrim? Like,
this of course, everything was even Far Cry was compared. Every game was oh my god, it's like Skyrim but with guns. Oh my god, it's like Skyrim, because Skyrim sold like has Skyrim been ported to like every system imaginable at this point?
Yes, it's become a bit of a meme, hasn't it?
It has.
But I think now that Skyrim's on VR, I think they've pretty much exhausted where they can take that game, except for mobile. Imagine that. Imagine they announced Skyrim for mobile or something. Yeah. If I was Bethesda, I'd totally play off that meme, and I'd bring in the Elder Scrolls music, and everyone would be going like, "Oh my god, it's a new Elder Scrolls," and then I'd be like, "Skyrim for mobile," and then everyone would go, "No," and I'd just be like, "Lol joke," and then announce Elder Scrolls 6. That's how I do it. But I hope it's true. I hope we do get Elder Scrolls 6. I think the only thing that I know I feel is definitely coming from Bethesda this year is Prey DLC. Do you notice they were teasing the moon on Prey's tour?
I did.
I know you weren't a big fan of Prey, but I'm a huge fan of that game.
I think there'll be DLC, and I'm looking forward to see what Bethesda is. And people have talked about their new IP called Starfield, whatever that could be. It'd be interesting to see what they have this year, because I don't think there's going to be a new Doom ready yet, and obviously they just released Wolfenstein and Evil Within 2. I don't know what else they haven't really ready to release other than maybe a new Elder Scrolls. Fallout's obviously not was next gen at this point. It's there's not enough time left in this generation, so it's definitely
Dishonored as well.
Dishonored's probably on ice. Yeah, Archive. So it there's a lot to look forward to, but before we get into the Xbox stuff, State of Decay 2. So we all know State of Decay 2 had its IGN first gameplay reveal. We talked about it last week. It's coming out May 22nd. It's retailing for $30. It'll be in there day one on Xbox Game Pass. There's also a Ultimate Edition for $50 that you can get to, play the game 4 days early. But they announced a Collector's Edition on Monday, I believe it was, or maybe I think it was Monday. And people were like, hey, yeah, this is cool. It's Collector's Edition at $70. Comes with a Halloween mask, the leftover finger keys from Resident Evil 7 that didn't sell, and a couple other things. And then it came out that it wasn't going to include a copy of the game. So the Collector's Edition doesn't include the copy of the game, and
I'm not happy about this.
And a lot of people were upset. War Reward, I saw him on Twitter go crazy. He was upset. I saw Noof go crazy about it and stuff. And Jez, explain this to people. Why doesn't the Collector's Edition come with the copy of the game?
It's because you can buy the game separately, either digitally or physically. Now, for someone like me who buys all the games digitally now, because I move around a lot and I live between 2 countries and I've got 2 Xboxes set up across 2 different countries, and I want to have my digital library with me at all times, ergo not buying physical stuff, not buying physical copies of games. Yet I still maybe would like to buy the Collector's Edition for the cool merchandise to put on display, maybe, because it's limited edition. Now I have the option of buying a Collector's Edition and then buying the version of the game that I want. I personally don't see what the big deal is there. I mean, they did this with Battlefield. It's not the first time a Collector's Edition with no copy of the game has happened because of digital, the rise of digital. So I don't think it's a big deal, and I don't know why anyone's freaking out. It's really funny, because they announced that Collector's Edition and it was like $70 or something. And everyone's like, "Oh wow, that's really cheap. That's really cool," and blah 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 blah. And then people were mad that the game wasn't included, as if it was like, well, why do you think it was so cheap? It's because the game isn't included. So I think in total that makes it $100, which is pretty standard for a Collector's Edition. That's right, $100, right? 30 because the game's 30.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, of course, there's the Ultimate Edition, which is $50. So it either would be $100 or $120, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's. I still think it's expensive for what you get. I mean, the Recore. I remember the Recore Collector's Edition, which I actually have, and I think it's pretty nice. But it was really, really expensive, and as a result, they couldn't sell any. And I think you can still to this day, there's unsold stock of the Recore Collector's Editions, and that you can get for like $30 now. And so I do think it's a bit expensive for what it is, but even still, I think it's good that the game isn't in there because. Yeah, and like someone just said in chat, it's also on Game Pass as well.
I mean, that's true, but I'm of 2 minds here. I get why they did it, and I understand other games have done it in the past. Like you mentioned Battlefield, where the Collector's Edition doesn't come with the game. Maybe I'm just old at this point, but I expect the Collector's Edition of anything to come with it has a steelbook, for example, but it doesn't come with the game itself. I understand from the business side of it is we have 2 versions of the game. We want to keep costs as low as possible. Here's the Collector's Edition. We don't know if gamers want the regular edition or the Ultimate Edition. So here's the collectors, and they can buy which one they choose, right? Remember when Cat Helmet came out for Halo 3 and that Halo 3 edition didn't come. I think it didn't come with a copy of Halo. Maybe it did come with a copy of Halo, but it didn't come with maybe the Ultimate Edition of Halo 3 or whatever. So Microsoft looks at it like this, here's the Collector's Edition. right, for $70, and you can choose which version of the game you want. You can choose a $30 one or the $50 one. We're not making that choice for you. Or here's the collector edition, and you can have it on Game Pass. So they're giving you options. It's just that some people don't want to do multiple transactions for a thing they want to buy. Some people will just look at it and be like, listen, I don't want to have to make a separate transaction to get the game, and then it's another separate transaction to get to collector edition. I would rather prefer it to be one single transaction, right?
It's like it's Microsoft stuck between a rock and a hard place here, because it's like no matter what you do, you're going to piss off one section of your audience. Either you're going to piss off people like me who would prefer to be digital and not have a physical copy of the collector's edition, or you piss off people who do want the physical copy of the collector's.
Well, it's like, okay, so the collector's edition, does it come with the physical game? Or does it come with the digital code? Like I would imagine most people want a physical. I mean, I get all the like logistics behind the reasons why. I'm just at that point where, like, when I see a collector's edition and it doesn't include the game, my eyebrow raises a little bit. But I've never bought a collector's edition of a game. I don't get that stuff. My buddy Loveboat Gopher buys all those things for all the dolls so he can put on his desk and stuff like that, which he hates me referring to those as his dolls. But I get it. Like, people
funny
like
coming from someone who plays the Barbie game to complain about dolls, but carry on.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring up Barbie today. I knew it. I knew you were going to bring up Barbie. But I mean, I don't know. Like, whatever. Like,
never gets old.
The bigger thing here is, and I'm going to relate this to Inside Xbox, right? Because that's the next topic. Was that a lot of people were upset with Inside Xbox. Now, I did a video going over the things I did enjoy and the things I didn't enjoy. And for a lot of hardcore Xbox fans, there wasn't a lot of new news to bite their teeth into, right, during the show. It was mostly Sea of Thieves related, which is, yeah, it's launching in 10 days. You obviously got to promote the game. Great. But there was too much. And it was like the pacing was so slow. Now, they had great production values. I like the focus on the live community stuff. I like the back half of the show, which features some great information about new Xbox updates that they demoed pretty well. I even like the interview with Seamus Blackley. So there's goods and bads to both. And I'm not just one of those people that'll be like, it's trash. Like, then tell me what I need to improve. Like, people will be like, Rand, your videos are trash. And I'll be like, okay, thanks for the feedback. How can I improve? And they never say anything. They don't give any constructive feedback of how to actually get better. So, like, yeah, I thought Inside Xbox was boring, just like everybody else, especially for the first half of the show. But then, I offer like, hey, I think you could do this better. Now, one of the reasons why people didn't like it was because it didn't really offer any new news. You could have debuted this State of Decay Collector's Edition during the show. You could have talked about the recently announced Fortnite crossplay stuff, right? That broke that day. Hell, you could have announced your plans for E3, which they just announced today, and announced them on Saturday. I mean, the show was Saturday. Here we are on Tuesday, 4 days later, and they announced their plans. Why not announce your plans during the show?
And another one, Rand. They just posted a list of upcoming Idea Xbox games, some of which are new. So why didn't they put those inside Xbox as well?
Right. I mean, there's so many things, like Sam says, Inside Xbox has lots of potential. They have a good foundation to work with. I completely agree. And it's just some of these things, I think they're trying to reconcile who the show is for. Is it for the hardcore Xbox audience, the ones who eat and sleep and breathe Xbox and gaming news, the ones who want new news, new information, new game announcements? Or is it just the casual Xbox audience, the ones who buy a couple games a year and just tune in?
But that's the thing. The casual Xbox audience aren't going to watch a show like that.
Of course. And it was 2 hours long. It was 2 hours long, Jez.
It was 2 hours long?
Yes, it was 2 hours long. Longer than an E3 press conference.
And they want to do that every week?
No, every month. Once a month. A monthly show.
That's not so bad. Yeah. Okay, well, it needs if it's 2 hours long and it's once a month, it needs to have more meat then.
Right, and I look at it, I'm just like, you could have announced your E3 plans, which would have been awesome. People would have been ecstatic for that. You could have shown off those Idea Xbox games that you just announced today. Could have talked about the State of Decay 2, all that stuff. But I mean, obviously PR is going to PR, and they're going to announce things whenever they feel is the best. But if you're doing a monthly show called Inside Xbox, it needs to have some sort of meat to it.
needs to have some inside knowledge.
Yeah, and this one kind of didn't. It was too heavy on Sea of Thieves. Now I made the thing because there were 5 different segments in Sea of Thieves, and they would go to Sea of Thieves, go to something else that wasn't Sea of Thieves related, go back to Sea of Thieves, then go to something else that wasn't Sea of Thieves, and then go back to Sea of Thieves. It almost made when I was watching, I'm like, this would have been better served starting this program in January and then doling out each one of those interviews every month, so people just don't get overloaded with Sea of Thieves, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they take all the feedback that people have given them, improve the show, because honestly, our first podcast probably is not very good if you go back and listen to it. Nerves and all that stuff, but it takes time to get into a rhythm to produce a good show. So, I'm not going to just throw Inside Xbox under the bus and be like, it's always going to be boring or never have good information. Microsoft is a company that learns and evolves. So,
well, Xbox is a company that learns and evolves. I wouldn't
Xbox is a division.
The rest of Microsoft, personally.
True.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, the crossplay stuff. Let's dive into this real fast. Jazz, is this ever going to be a reality, or is
No, it's never. I saw you put a video about this, that it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I completely agree. And we've talked about this on previous episodes, but it's like the reason it's not going to happen is because how does it benefit Sony in any way, shape, or form?
It doesn't benefit Sony.
Exactly. So, and Sony's a business, and they're going to do things that benefit them. And because crossplay would not benefit them in any way, it would remove the purchase argument of, oh, my friend has a PlayStation, so I need one as well. Therefore, they're never going to do it. It's simply put. And to be honest, if Microsoft was in Sony's position, they probably wouldn't do it either. I mean,
well, they were in their position last gen, and they didn't do it.
Exactly. But people argue, well, that's last gen, and now we have Phil Spencer and stuff like that. But you have to think about it like it's Phil Spencer's job to grow Xbox at the end of the day, and hand in a huge advantage to your competitor that for no benefit to yourself is not the way to support a business. So, I just can't see it happening, and I don't blame Sony for it at all, because it's just smart business. That's my take on it. I mean, it sucks for the consumer, right? It does suck because for example, one of my siblings is a PlayStation gamer, and I'd love to play Fortnite with them, cross-play, cross-platform, and stuff like that. But I can't because the whole cross-play thing. So it does suck for consumers. But at the same time, I can't possibly criticize Sony for not doing it, really. I mean, I've taken shots at them on Twitter for it and stuff like that, but mainly because of the whole hypocrisy and stuff, and just highlighting, because people always say Microsoft are the evil corporation here, and it's just like, no, all corporations are evil. That's just the way it is. And so I've taken shots at Sony to highlight the fact that Sony aren't this super nice company either. They're still a business at the end of the day. But I don't really blame them for not doing it. I mean, how do you feel about it, Ron?
I don't blame them either for not doing it. Most of you guys know I'm a business major. And to me, it doesn't benefit Sony in any way, shape, or form. They're using the PlayStation user base, the total user base, as a selling factor. So they'll do what they want, and they've looked at it and probably said it just doesn't benefit us. It only benefits Xbox or Nintendo Switch, and why would we want to help our competition, so to speak? They're probably more than happy to be selling all the consoles they sell, selling all the games they're selling, and having crossplay with PC and mobile, and never doing crossplay with consoles. Until Sony can determine, if they determine that they'll make more money and become even bigger doing crossplay, then you'll see it. But until then, no. And look, you can say all day long they should do it. They should do it for the benefit of gamers. They should do it for the benefit of developers who have player games, so the pools are bigger and you can get in the games faster. And I agree with that. They should do it. The reasons they gave for not doing it are ridiculous because they got to look out for children. It doesn't make any sense that they have to look out for children when they cross-play with PC, right? Makes no sense. The excuse is terrible. Of course, the real reason is they can't come out and say it's not in our best interest because they look like a cold, calculating corporation, which kind of goes against their whole hashtag for the players thing. But you can't come out and say that because people will be like, oh, okay. But as a business, no, they're not going to do it. Why would they? It doesn't help them. And the only like I said, the only reason they would do it is if it somehow helped them down the road, and that's it. So you won't see it as much as Microsoft wants to do it. The only other way I could see it happening is if literally all the developers and all the publishers banded together and demanded Sony do it. Like Activision and EA and Ubisoft all got together and be like, you're doing this. Otherwise, we're not going to put your games on your console. But then Sony holds all the cards here because Sony knows all these games need to be on PlayStation to make money because these games are expensive. They need to sell everywhere they can. So Sony can just look at Ubisoft and call their bluff and be like, sorry, like we don't believe you for a second that you're going to give all your games exclusive to Xbox. You know? It has to be kind of like an industry movement towards forcing Sony to do it or anybody else, but that's never going to happen either. You know, because Microsoft, they wanted the DRM strategy at the beginning of the gen to help out developers and themselves about, getting rid of used game sales. And Sony saw a business opportunity to be like, yeah, we're not doing that. Here's how you share games. And if developers and publishers are really behind the idea of getting rid of used game sales, they would have supported Microsoft 100%.
But they backed off.
But they backed off and didn't, because at the end of the day, money talks. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I don't think we'll ever see crossplay happen. Personally, I mean, Microsoft would have to make some kind of concession to Sony to make that happen. Because basically, what's happening there is Microsoft is asking Sony to give them their audience. It's for free, which ain't gonna happen. So give them access to their ecosystem, which it's. And Microsoft does this whole, we're up for it to happen, blah 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 blah, and obviously publishers want it to happen because they would love to have all their customers into one basket. You know what I mean? But and obviously there's no real infrastructural thing that stops it because Fortnite turned it on by accident, quote unquote. So and also there have been games in history that have been fully cross-play across all platforms. Like Final Fantasy XI, for example, was cross-play between PC, Xbox 360, PS3, PS2, and PS2, believe it or not. And it was cross-play across all those platforms, and nobody batted an eyelid, And it's really funny because like it's funny that a lot of people think that this has never happened before, but it happened in Final Fantasy XI. It was all on the same servers,
And Mike, you want to know the story behind that? Is I was told that happened because Microsoft was desperate to get a Final Fantasy game on their platform, so they made the concession.
Wow.
And that was the reason why, is that because remember, Final Fantasy games at that point in time were always kind of exclusive to PlayStation. They weren't on Xbox, and Final Fantasy XI was the first one. And I was told Microsoft wanted desperately to have that game on their platform, so they made that concession of crossplay with PlayStation to get that game.
That's really annoying, to hear, because it's stuff like that that's probably stopping us getting Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. There's no real reason Final Fantasy 14 can't be on Xbox. It's just some stupid policy somewhere that's stopping it from happening.
Yep.
It's
always something like that.
Sometimes the business stuff screws customers on both sides of the console war, quote unquote. That's just the way it is, kind of. And sometimes it's really annoying, and other times it's just kind of like, But what are you going to do, man?
I don't know.
Maybe we should all just play on PC and screw both of them over.
What else do we want to talk about? Oh yeah, the updates to Xbox Live. Do you like the share to Twitter stuff? Are you going to be using that a lot?
I like it. I like that they've added it finally, but I don't know if I'm going to be using it that much because I like to trim my clips first, and Upload Studio is still a pile of garbage.
Jazz, don't hurt Microsoft here. God, no, it's Upload
Well,
Studio's pretty bad.
I've actually spoken to people at Microsoft about Upload Studio, and they know it's bad and it's neglected and stuff like that. But for them, it's just a bandwidth thing, and they have limited amount of developers working on the platform at any one time, and that sort of stuff, and they just don't have the bandwidth to do updates for Upload Studio yet. But it does seem like they are going to do something with it, and I do think it's going to be Mixer related, most probably. You remember they trademarked that Mixplay thing?
I remember I did a video about it. We were talking about in DMs.
Yeah, so Microsoft trademarked Mixplay, and it seems that Mixplay is going to be their brand for the remote controller stuff. But the trademark covers all sorts of things like trimming clips and stream overlays and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mixplay sort of becomes more like Streamlabs in the sense that it can sort of do all sorts of things that content creators need it to do. Like Streamlabs, for example, it does overlays for streamers, like showing those alert pop-ups and stuff like that. It has a chat bot in the works now, and it's got a Elgato Stream Deck integration now and all that sort of stuff. So as Streamlabs is evolving into this like platform, this all-encompassing platform for content creators around gaming, I could see Mixplay evolving to that end as well because of how broad the trademark was. So hopefully Mixplay and Mixer will get the ability to do stream overlays, and also not only that, but hopefully it'll get the ability to do clip trimming and sharing as well, because man, it's still pretty painful to share things to Twitter from Xbox.
No,
I
it
mean, we
sure
don't
is.
have a share button and all that sort of stuff. It'd be cool if you could just press a button on your Xbox controller and it brings up a clip trimmer. You just trim the clip and then upload it from there. Because that's how I do it myself on Twitter. I download the clip from the Xbox app on Windows 10. I put it into the Twitter app for Windows 10. I trim it down and then I share it. Because like you don't want to share like a 2-minute clip just to show like one small little thing.
No,
Often I just want to share 10 seconds or something.
yeah,
So,
you're 100% right. And
still
it
not
just
perfect, but
really quickly, man. We have we had like 350 people watching, but only 110 likes. What's up with that? Got to hit that like button. Hit that like button.
350 people watching?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It was like
Hello, everyone.
it was like 360, but yeah, you gotta hit that like button, you know, if you're enjoying the show. So a couple other things I wanted to briefly talk about before we talk about the E3 Microsoft stuff was Days Gone was delayed, Jez. Sony delayed Days Gone to 2019.
You know, it's sad, Rand. I didn't
What?
even know what Days Gone was.
I
until it
know,
was
I saw
delayed.
that on Twitter.
I don't know how. I completely missed that game, but you know, I don't really follow PlayStation news because it's not my job. But it looks really awesome. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the hierarchy of PlayStation exclusive, it's probably the one that interests me the least. Like it's like Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, God of War, Death Stranding, Detroit Become Human, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, right? But I made in my prediction video that it was being delayed to 2019. I was right again, which I'm right on Detroit Become Human. I'm right on State of Decay. Now right on Days Gone. I wonder what else I'm going to be right or wrong about in those prediction videos. It just didn't make sense for the game releasing this year. There's just not enough time, with God of War in April and Detroit in May. I've heard Spider-Man is July and like Dreams of September. There just wasn't enough time and space to properly debut Days Gone, which is a new IP. Especially with October being a month you can't release anything, and the same as November. Nobody releases games in December, especially a new IP. So it just makes sense for Sony to push the game to, end of February, beginning of March, where they've seen success. And then have Sony's lineup next year be something along the lines of Days Gone, Last of Us 2, and Death Stranding, which would be a pretty solid lineup. And then maybe 2020 is when the new PlayStation comes out or whatever. Or maybe the end of 2019, who knows? There's rumors going around about all that stuff. So, yeah, that got delayed. But the thing that really caused a lot of salt, and I know you've seen this because I saw you tweet about it, was the fact that Crash Bandicoot is not only coming to the Xbox, but Nintendo Switch and PC, and people lost their minds. Like, there were people crying. I like, usually when you hear that stuff, you're like, nah, there can't be. I saw people crying on my timeline. I saw people in the Reset Era forums crying. I saw like a former Naughty Dog employee basically crying about it. That Crash, which is owned by Activision, is now going to all platforms after Sony's 1-year exclusivity deal, came up. People were legitimately upset and said that Crash doesn't feel right on Nintendo Switch or Xbox, even though Crash games have been on Xbox for quite some time. So,
yeah, nostalgia's a hell of a drug, man. When you see like adults losing their mind about cartoon bandicoots, you know that the world is a dark place. But that's the power of nostalgia, man. It reminds people of a time when we were innocent, when the weight of the world hadn't crushed our adult spirits into miserable dust. That got a bit dark for a minute, but that's nostalgia for you, and that's why Nintendo. One of the reasons Nintendo does make great games, but take Nintendo's games exactly as they are, like take Zelda exactly as it is, take away the Zelda branding and the characters, and make it some kind of Zelda knockoff, like Elder or something, someone nobody had heard of. It wouldn't be anywhere near as popular. There was a huge nostalgia factor in some of these games, and Crash Bandicoot is exactly one of those. I mean, it's a great game, but man, nostalgia is real for that game, and especially in the UK. And I don't know if this is the case in the US, but PlayStation 1 in the UK was bundled with Crash Bandicoot a lot. Like when I got my PlayStation 1, it came bundled with Crash Bandicoot, and I think that's the same for millions of other people in the in the UK. So I think like for Brits especially, for a lot of Brits, Crash Bandicoot might have been their first ever video game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the PlayStation mascot at the time. Yeah. I mean, Crash was PlayStation, and I mean, I guess now we'll get to. I know this is kind of funny, but Crash, when it comes to Xbox, will be the first Naughty Dog game on the Xbox. I mean, I know that's kind of funny, but it
wasn't remastered by Naughty Dog, though, was it?
No, I don't know who remastered it, but there were people like making bets that this game would be exclusive forever, but like you knew it wasn't. Number one, Activision is a multi-platform company. They don't do that type of stuff. Number two, it was never referred to as a PlayStation exclusive. There's no markings anywhere in the box. You knew at some point it was going to come to other platforms. And sure enough, it did.
We knew at least it was going to come to PC because the Crash Bandicoot game files had support for the Xbox controller stack. So it was either going to be on PC with Xbox controller support, or it was just going to be an Xbox with Xbox controller support. So it was definitely going to happen.
Yeah. And then the Spyro remaster that's basically been confirmed by Kotaku has the same deal. It's going to be a 1-year exclusive on PlayStation, and then eventually go to Xbox and PC. So
my little brother worshipped that game. He played.
I actually
Spyro all day, every day.
I actually like Spyro more than Crash. So it comes out, I believe, is it June? I think June for Crash, or maybe it's July. Either way, maybe I'll check it out. But let's get to the big news that Microsoft dropped today. So I did a video last night. Tom Warren had come out and said, "Hey, Microsoft press conference is Sunday at 1 p.m. And that it's going to be different, right?" And me and you were talking about in the DMs, and sure enough, lo and behold, Microsoft announces their plans for E3, and it reads E3 2018, Microsoft Readies biggest E3 showing ever. So because I put that as like basically the title of the podcast and the tweet, people were like, "You can't say that, Rand. They're just lying." I'm like, literally, I just took the headline that Microsoft themselves is saying it's their biggest E3 showing ever. I'm not saying it. That's what they're saying. So there was a lot of talk about the smaller than expected Xbox booth this year. A lot of people were like, well, the small booth size means that they have nothing to show. There's going to be no games, all this stuff. And I said, well, no, they're going to have stuff to show because that Microsoft is always done stuff at the Galen Center after the press conferences, and the what they show at the press conference has no bearing on what's on the game floor. And Microsoft actually is going to have perhaps the biggest show floor of anybody, because not only do they have a dedicated mixer booth at E3, they're also renting out, or at least using, the Microsoft Theater across the street at LA Live. So so the organizers of E3 were set to announce that Xbox will be taking over the Microsoft Theater, a perfectly situated space located in the heart of LA Live across the street from the convention center. The Microsoft Theater will be home to official E3 events like the Xbox E3 2018 briefing on June 10th, various Xbox FanFest activities, hands-on gameplay, and demos for all E3 attendees, and more. Not only does the Microsoft Theater allow us to centralize our Xbox presence at E3, but its size enables us to include even more fans and partners in the Xbox E3 briefing than ever before. And they go on to say that they have a new booth completely dedicated to Mixer at the convention center, where you can play, stream, and interact with games and catch the latest E3 news throughout the whole week. So the people that freaked out about the floor space might be looking a little bit even a little bit crow today, because Microsoft is doing it up big. I mean, if they didn't have anything to show, then they wouldn't have rented out this theater. And honestly, this kind of looks like Microsoft taking its first step out of E3 altogether.
I did notice, because there's this whole controversy about the ESA right now, because ESA, they charge a lot of money to publishers to join E3, right? And EA, for example, wasn't happy about this, so EA stopped having a booth there, and they do EA Play like in a different venue because it's cheaper for them. And so the E3 people responded by letting the public in and saying, well, if you have a booth here, we're going to go direct to your customers now, not just press, because the whole dynamic of how games are marketed now has changed and evolved. Now that we have game streaming, we have YouTube, we have lots of like word of mouth coverage for games, and the influence of mainstream press is weakening. So like they're opened E3 up to the press now, and I think Microsoft moving it to their own venue as well is sort of a response to that as well. But I did notice in the press release that they were saying, with our partners at the ESA, and I'm probably getting that wrong. It's probably not the ESA, but the E3 people, whoever they are, I can't remember who they are, but those people, it's like they wanted to emphasize that it's still in partnership with E3, and it's still part of E3. But it's like they didn't want to piss them off or whatever. But it is interesting the way E3 is changing and stuff. They do still have the Mixer booth at E3, and it does seem like a pretty big booth. They had a Mixer booth last year, but it was sort of like this tiny little room off to the side. It seems like they're ramping up their Mixer presence at E3 this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, Mixer's getting bigger, so they have their own booth. But I mean, it just makes sense now, because I like 5-6 years ago, everything new would be announced at E3. Here we are today, right? We talked about not only Shadow of the Tomb Raider getting announced tomorrow, right? Call of Duty Black Ops 4 just getting announced a random day. The Division 2 getting announced a random day. It seems companies no longer want to wait to E3. They want to have some sort of press all for themselves. So like E3 isn't nearly as relevant as it once was, when it was just like gaming magazines, and like kind of before the internet got to the way it is. Nowadays, it's like it's a 24/7, 365 news cycle. So nobody kind of waits for E3 anymore, except you could argue maybe Microsoft and Sony, because Nintendo, they just dropped the bomb with Direct. Nintendo Smash is coming, in their latest thing. That could have easily been saved for Direct. So it's kind of like the addition of inviting the public to E3, which makes it harder for the industry people to do their jobs, along with this kind of digital news information thing that we're in. It just makes sense to do this and kind of start moving out of E3 and doing your own thing. It's right next to it. It's a gigantic thing. They can show everything off that they want to. They can still have their own booth at Mixer, which is kind of a agnostic streaming platform. So it's interesting to see the discussion go from one, they have no floor space, so they have nothing to show, to now that I've seen, it's too bad they have no games to show and at their floor space. So it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know, one way you have no games, and the next way, well, you don't have any games to fill the floor space. So, what do you want to see from me? You're going to be there. I'm not sure if I'm going.
You gotta go, man. You've got to go.
This actually kind of makes me want, because, like, look, I didn't like being in the convention center. I really enjoyed going to the conference and doing the fan fest stuff. I didn't really actually enjoy the experience of going into E3, the convention center itself, because it just, I don't know, it was just a mass of humanity, right? And it's like, I hate waiting in lines, but the fact that Microsoft is having their own place where you can do all that stuff, I don't even have to step in foot of the convention center. I can just get everything I basically want there. So it's making me more inclined to spend the money and go this year. So I'm sell me on it, Jez. Sell me on it.
Well, Rand, I'm going to E3 all alone this year. Every year previously, I've gone with the team from Windows Central, but I'm going probably by myself this year. So you have to go around, or I'll be by myself.
To be by yourself. I know Sam Tolbert's going to be there. Amaka will be there. I don't know who else is going in chat.
Tim Dog's going there.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I talked to Tim about it. I don't know.
Think about it. Think about it. The people in your audience, do it for them, because they want to know from you, Rand, what the experience was like. For all the people who can't go because they live around the world, or they've got work, or they've got other responsibilities, you have to go for your YouTube channel, Rand. Tell him, guys. Everyone in the channel watching, tell him he has to go.
Yeah, I mean, I could just do, what I did last year and just cover everything on the channel sitting here.
No, don't do that. That's silly.
Yeah, chat. Should I go? Put a 1 in chat for yes or 2 for no, and stay here and make YouTube videos and hang out with you guys and hang out, which is what I did last year. I mean, look, here's the thing. It's expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. Number one, I live in Chicago, Illinois, so I got to get a flight over to LA. So that's, whatever amount of money down. Not only that, but I got to find somewhere to stay. And that's usually a hotel, and those hotels are pretty expensive. You're looking at basically, unless you split a hotel with somebody, a couple $1,000s.
Wow.
I mean, you don't.
But you're a millionaire YouTuber now.
Oh yeah, I'm a millionaire YouTuber. Sure. I mean, maybe if I could fly to Redmond and cash in my gamer score for money, or Microsoft's like, here's my million gamer score, give me $1 million check, we're good. Sure.
If they gave you $1 for every point of gamer score you had,
that'd be great.
Microsoft would also be bankrupt probably, but actually no, they wouldn't. Microsoft could totally afford that. But yeah, everyone says you should go. Look at chat. You have to go.
I know everybody wants me to go. It's more the money issue. It's really expensive to go. I mean, if I was out there, a lot of people in LA where it's just a drive, that's one thing. Or you know what? Better yet, why don't you bring E3 to Chicago so I don't have to fly and get a hotel? Come here. Although, why would you want to come to Chicago? Or maybe go somewhere else, like Indianapolis or something, and I can drive there. Either way.
Well, is New York close to Chicago?
No, Chicago, Illinois is the kind of center of the United States for the most part.
Is it? I thought it was on the coast.
No, New York's on the coast and LA's on the coast, but opposite coasts.
Well, I don't know American geography. I just know that I know where Redmond is. I know where New York is. That's it.
New York is on the East Coast. LA is over in California on the West Coast. Yeah. But okay, so here's Microsoft. They are saying it's their biggest E3 showing ever. Do they mean floor space? Do they mean games that are going to be there? What do you think? Because PR is PR,
On the one hand, you can't make a claim like it's going to be your biggest E3 ever and then not deliver, because people remember. The people will just say, "Oh, well, you said that last year and it sucked," so it'll reduce people's interest in it next year. Also, Microsoft you know, they've heard loud and clear that people aren't happy with their lineup. It's become a meme, you know, and Phil Spencer acknowledged that it's become a meme. They have to deliver this year, man. They have to deliver. Like, yeah, they've fixed the power issue. Okay, the Xbox One X is powerful. Now they've got a games issue, you know, and they've sort of built up this image that they cancel games, they don't have the ability to deliver AAA experiences, blah 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 blah. This year they've got a lot to prove, man. They've got a lot to prove, and if they claim something like it's the biggest E3 ever and don't deliver, it's going to be bad, you know. Like,
okay. Well, what do
not
they
as bad
have
as
to
an
deliver?
EA conference, but
What do they have to deliver?
now this is the hard one, you know, because personally, I'm not really disappointed with what Xbox is delivering right now. I've got more games than I have time to play, but like in terms of the hardcore audience, I guess, and the people who are particularly adamant about comparing Xbox to PlayStation, which is a lot of people, especially in commentators and stuff like that. If Microsoft's desire is to appeal to those people, then they've got to deliver games. You know, they've got to deliver new games, big budget games that prove that Microsoft's willing to put its money where its mouth is and make truly quality exclusive games that bring value to the ecosystem. You know, and your console is only as valuable as your ecosystem and the quality of your software and stuff like that. And because we don't have crossplay, as we discussed earlier, and we'll never have crossplay, Microsoft has this no choice situation where they absolutely have to develop the quality of its lineup, and not just on. I mean, look at the Windows Store, for example. I mean, it's a joke compared to Steam. But if Windows Store had a good lineup, people wouldn't be calling it a joke. So the Xbox lineup isn't as bad as the Windows Store lineup is compared to Steam. We're not in that kind of situation, but they need to continue building on their Xbox One X momentum. They had the strongest holiday season ever, they said, and Sony's well out in front, and they might never catch up, but they just need to show that they can deliver value for people who have invested in this ecosystem and give people who haven't invested in the ecosystem a reason to be jealous, because that's something they haven't done so far. They haven't given PlayStation fans a reason to be jealous. And I think that's probably what they're going to want to look to do.
Yeah, I think the idea of showing games when they're ready has kind of backfired on Microsoft to a certain extent. It worked for Sony. Sony basically told you in E3 2016, here's the roadmap of PlayStation for the next 3 years, right? And the problem with that is you're not really going to get new and exciting announcements for the next few years because the roadmap's laid out before you. But on the upside is people are confident in what PlayStation is showing, right? The games that they have or whatever. Microsoft went for a different approach. They were like, because of Scalebound and Fable Legends and what happened there where they showed off those games too early, you can even argue Crackdown 3 because it was 4 years now, that they were going to hold off and only show things when they're ready. But what happened was that people don't know what's happening with Xbox. They don't know the roadmap or what the future holds like they do on PlayStation. So they get antsy, they get anxious. They especially when there's games that you don't like, right? Like if someone's not really into Sea of Thieves or Crackdown and State of Decay, they might look at this year and be like, I got nothing to play. And then you don't have a title that might be coming out next year or the year after that you could be like, okay, that's what I'm looking forward to. Like this year, I'm sure, even though I think God of War and Spider-Man are going to be great, you damn well know there are people out there that have no interest in God of War and have no interest in Spider-Man and have no interest in Detroit. But they might have interest in Death Stranding. They might have interest in Ghost of Tsushima. They might have interest in something else. So for those people, it's like, well, it's okay if there's really nothing here exclusively. I can still play all the multi-platforms I enjoy. But next year it'll be better because I know what Sony's offering. I think that's the difference. And Microsoft kind of needs to do that now. I think it's proven that the one way works and their way of holding off info doesn't, because then you have people just they the issue like here is like people then they put Microsoft under a scope because they don't know. So when inside Xbox doesn't have the information you're looking for, you get upset because all you really want to know is the future of a product that you bought and that you enjoy. So you want to know what you're going to be playing like next year and the year
And,
after. So
Rand, Microsoft suck at this across the board. They suck at this in Windows. They suck at this. They suck at this in all of their products, where they just can't. They can't relate their roadmap for some reason. I don't know what it is. This weird inability they've got to deliver, and it's like, especially on the Windows side, like all too often, people who are invested in Windows, they're relying on leaks from websites like Windows Central to find out what's going on, because Microsoft themselves won't say. And I get like the whole argument that, well, if we say this feature is coming and then it gets delayed, or we say this game is coming and it gets delayed, people get annoyed. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, at least we know it's coming. And I think Microsoft has created this disruption in the way that we perceive their roadmap, because they keep doing this weird thing where they cancel games all the time, or at least that's the perception that they've created with Scalebound and Fable Legends. So I think they need part of what they need to do at E3 is to rekindle that reassurance and that confidence that people have in Microsoft's ability to deliver on the future. And Microsoft just suck at communicating with consumers. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah, they just need to show what they have. They need to peek behind the curtain, even if some of the games they're working on are 2 years away. Doesn't matter. Show them. Just give people something to be excited about. Is what they're going to show Halo 6, and that'll get some people excited, and some people will be like another Halo. I mean, I'll be always excited for a new Halo. Maybe we'll get a new Gears game. People will be excited for a Fable. Maybe they close the show with a look at the new Fable. And like I mean, they're the ones saying that it's their E3 biggest showing ever. Like you're the ones putting that. I'm not putting it out there. Jez isn't putting it out there. Nobody else is saying that. This is directly from Microsoft and stuff. And I know you kind of need to, sweeps aside some of the PR nonsense that happens in all these things, but you're out there right now saying it's your biggest showing ever. So you got to back it up. Like you have to show something. Like, and I enjoyed last year's press conference. You showed off 42 games, great. 22 of them with timed exclusivity. But a lot of the criticism was that those were multi-platform games or smaller indie titles. And
buggy, broken games like PUBG.
Yeah, I mean, I played Darwin Project, which was one of those games, and it's a nice little arcade like version of Battle Royale.
But it's not a big AAA that's going to hold your attention for a few weeks.
Yeah, and I know people are looking for info. I think Phil even tweeted about this earlier, that it's the curse of every spring. People just want new news, and that if they leaked their entire E3 show now, yeah, people would be excited, but then they'd be like complaining at E3 that there was no new news. So it's like, what do you do? But I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to E3 every year. I want to see the interesting thing here is like last year, which we kind of knew, like me and you knew what was being shown beforehand. Like we had figured everything out. This year, I don't know, because like the Sea of Thieves State of Decay 2 card, that's played, right? You know they're going to show Crackdown and Ori and Halo 6, but beyond that, I don't know. And that's kind of the exciting part, is like, okay, Phil's been in office for 4 years. He finally got that promotion. Last year he said he just cut some deals, but they weren't ready to show it. I want to see it. I don't care if the game is 2020. I don't care if the game's 2021. Just tell me what you're working on. That's all I really want. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's weird for me because like I have to write these sorts of articles like what to expect from this year's E3, can Microsoft deliver, blah blah blah. Like I say, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with my Xbox One experience overall. I have no complaints. It's not like I sit there every day thinking, "Oh God, I wish this was more like PlayStation." I just sit there every day playing and being happy with what I've got because, I play Xbox all day, every day, almost. My Xbox is always on, and like if I'm writing, I've probably got a gamer in at the side. Like it's one of the reasons I like Surviving Mars is because like you can queue up a bunch of stuff to do and then do some work and then turn back and play some more Surviving Mars and stuff like that. So I don't know what people want and what they expect. You know, I think a lot of people don't actually know what they want. It's almost become just this sort of meme where people like complain about the games and stuff like that, and they don't actually know what they want. You know, I mean,
I agree. People sometimes people they clamor for something new, but when they get something new, they don't want it. Like people clamored for Gears, like the next Gears of War to be different, but they don't say what it is. And I do think we're going to get a Gears spinoff game this year, and it's going to be different than the mainline Gears, and I can already see people not liking it. You know what I mean? Um, I just look. I don't know. Maybe my perception has changed a little bit now that I have all three consoles because no matter what Microsoft shows, no matter if they show don't show a new IP or they do or they have a great E3, it doesn't really necessarily matter for me because like I still have my PlayStation and my Switch, which are there for the exclusives. So when God of War comes out, I'll be playing God of War, and then the system will be off until the next one. And like you, I am a like primary Xbox player. I'm on it every single night. So as much as I want, you know, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right here. But I used to kind of like I guess this is how I used to look at it before I got a PlayStation and a Switch. I would see those games and be like, why can't Microsoft make these games? Right? And now that I have the systems, I look at it and be like, well, let Microsoft do what Microsoft wants to do. Like I have those other systems to play those other. I got maybe I mellowed out a little bit. Maybe I chilled out a little bit because I do have access to their systems when I didn't. But it was weird because I never felt that way during the 360. Like during the 360 era, I didn't feel compelled ever to get a PlayStation 3 or a Wii U or a Wii. Like the only game that really interested me were the Uncharted and Last of Us, and I didn't feel was like enough reason to get one. Now, like clearly, like I mean, Sony's just kind of like throwing all these exclusives out, and they're all coming. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if I didn't have an Xbox and I wasn't looking forward to those games, I'd be looking side eye over at God of War and Detroit and Spider Man, and be like, God damn, why isn't those games on here?
I think that's pretty much it though, Rand. I think what a lot of people want, especially from the vocal hardcore crowd, the people on Twitter and some of the YouTubers and stuff. I think what they really want is to have something that will make PlayStation fans jealous, even if they're happy with the console. And clearly they are happy with their console because if they weren't, they'd just sell it and get a PlayStation 4. These consoles aren't that expensive. You know, it's not like, you know, some people spend more a month on cigarettes, you know, than these consoles and stuff. And it's like, you know, you could easily just sell your Xbox and switch to PlayStation. If the situation was as bad as people make it out to be, you could just switch or buy both. You know, it's not that big of a deal. If you're a grown adult and you've got a half decent job, you can probably afford this stuff, you know. And at the end of the day, I think what a lot of people just want is ammunition for arguing about the console war. They want the things that they're jealous about from PlayStation. They want that on Xbox, and they want PlayStation fans to have no ammunition to, you know, make them feel bad about their console purchase choice and stuff like that. You know, I don't think there's anything. No matter what Microsoft does, it's going to get attacked by someone, because that's just the nature of the beast now. People just see the truth they want to see and ignore the rest.
See, so goddamn Twitch says if you actually played Sony's catalog about half as much as you do with Xbox, you wouldn't be saying this random jazz. I don't understand. Like, what does that mean? I don't get that.
I don't know.
I mean, Jez hasn't played any of them. He doesn't have a PlayStation. Yeah, I've played about 20 games, about 20 of their exclusives. I mean, That's what I got. It's before it was gifted to me. I was going to get one when it hit, the right price, which it did, and like that's what I wanted the system for. I mean, clearly I don't need it to play multi-platforms. I have the Xbox for that. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at the review I just put up today. It was Moss for PlayStation VR. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like,
Yeah,
I'll be playing God of War the day that comes out. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Trolls, man. But that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. It's like some people just want to argue about this stuff, and it's not necessarily that Xbox is doing a terrible job of it. It's just like they want the perception that Xbox is doing a terrible job to go away. They want Microsoft to do something to get rid of that perception. They don't know what it is that Microsoft needs to do. And I'd argue that Microsoft themselves don't know what it is that they need to do to get rid of that perception, that meme that Xbox is bad, So I don't know what they can do personally to fix that. And I don't know if they've got the resources to fix that, because they've been pro-consumer as they can possibly be, giving away free games. The Xbox Game Pass is really, really, really great value if you don't own those games. And, they've done loads of pro-consumer stuff, constant updates to the console, adding new features, all that sort of stuff. And, I mean, technically they should be doing a pretty good job of it. There's not a huge amount you can really criticize them for at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think what people what Xbox fans want to know is the Xbox brand safe? They just want to see Xbox be strong, because Microsoft in general has become this really unpredictable company where it's like, you never know if a product at Microsoft is safe, because Microsoft is a terrible consumer company. They are terrible at serving their customers. They're really bad at it. I was a Groove. I stuck with Xbox Music and Groove for years, and it's like, Xbox Music was terrible, and like Microsoft invested loads of money in it to make Groove Music good. Groove Music was terrible. And then over the months, they improved it, and now it's arguably the best UWP app on the Windows Store. But then, literally a week before they killed it, Groove was still getting updates. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Microsoft destroyed Groove. So it's like, and it's, you could apply that Groove thing to various other products, Kinect. All the people who invested in Kinect, all those Kinect games, people who bought into the Kinect vision, all those people got screwed. All the people who, started the generation saying Xbox on and stuff like that, and they bought into that vision of voice commands and connected their Xbox to their TVs and all that sort of stuff. That's all gone now. It's all gone because
Right.
Microsoft doesn't commit to its customers. It doesn't. It's an unpredictable company, and lots of other companies cancel things and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the other companies do it in a very delicate way, I feel, compared to Microsoft, who just have this "we're so big" approach that nothing we do really matters. Like Microsoft could cut Xbox tomorrow and it wouldn't hurt their future, because Microsoft's future is cloud and it's enterprise, and they could drop Xbox tomorrow and it wouldn't hurt them. It wouldn't hurt the company. Whereas Sony, their whole company is PlayStation, pretty much.
You know what? Let's do the giveaway for the 1 year 1 year of Xbox Gold. What do you think, Jez? Let's do the giveaway. So I've thought of a way, and to make, like, I didn't want to just pick somebody in chat or whatever. So we're gonna have a little contest here, right? So if you're watching, make sure you're by your keyboard. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to text Jez a number. All right. So here I am. I'm gonna text you a number. All right.
What?
Just a number. So
on Twitter.
On Twitter, I'm gonna DM you a number. And what I want you guys to do, so as everybody has a good chance, is I'm gonna say pick a number from 1 to 100, and the first person that picks the right number that I've DM'd Jez will win the code.
Oh my god.
So there's 359 people watching. There's a number 1 to 100 that I just texted Jez.
The first person who gets the number. So I've got to watch chat now.
I'm watching chat.
Thanks, man.
That's going really fast. Okay, let's see.
Someone was close.
It is. There is some reference to a gaming icon, and I did talk about.
Oh, there it is. Mellow Mind.
Did he get it?
Mellow Mind got it.
Okay. Mellow Mind. Make sure.
47.
Yeah.
Mellow Mind got it, guys. You can stop spamming now.
Yeah. Mellow Mind. Make sure you put what your gamer tag or your Twitter in chat.
Oh my god, the spam.
I know, right? All right, giveaway's over. Mellow Mind won. He was the first person to guess 47.
Stop spamming numbers.
Yeah, so just type in chat what your Twitter handle is, and then DM me, and then I will give you the code. The code was 47 because I was having a conversation with Nick and a couple people about Agent 47 versus Sam Fisher and Snake. So that was the number that came to mind. Don't worry, I still have another giveaway that'll be going up later for another year of Xbox Live Gold. That'll be a thing. So,
awesome.
Yeah. He hasn't said anything about his Twitter handle though. So, interesting.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Oh well, we'll sort that out later. But Mellow Mind was the winner.
Mm-hmm. So, Jez, there's this other thing that I wanted to talk about. Was Phil Spencer. He was responding to Tim Dog on Twitter as he normally does, and Mellow Mind. Let me see.
Yeah, we should do giveaways like this more often, maybe in the chat. And it's going to be a pain for people listening on iTunes.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why we're doing the other giveaways, so people on iTunes can. You don't have Twitter? Okay. Well, what's your gamer tag? See, I guess I didn't think of a good enough way here. I just assumed everybody had Twitter.
You know, Rand, we should. This is what. Well, we're not going to do this, but I think there are chatbots you can get for YouTube now. So we could probably set up a chatbot to give away on YouTube. I'll look into that.
Right. I mean, we could do more giveaways. I do have a ton of codes for Xbox games, like
Yeah, I got codes for those as well.
Yeah, so many codes. I do give some away, but mostly they just kind of sit there that I plan to use for giveaways at some point. So Mello, says he doesn't have a Twitter, so I say hopefully he's got a gamer tag. I can message him there. Otherwise, you know what I'm gonna do?
Email
that's his PSN. Wow.
Okay. You can do it on PSN then.
Okay, all first verse. All right, I'll send you it on PSN. Your year of Xbox Live. Hopefully, you have an Xbox. Does that be?
If he doesn't have an Xbox, that's hilarious.
I know that'd be very weird. All right. So Phil Spencer, Tim was asking about are you still a believer in cloud compute technology? And do you think in the next 5 years we should see a bump in those type of games that's attempted in Crackdown 3? And Phil responded with, I think we'll see the full spectrum from games that 100% run in the cloud, stream to any device, to high-end games that run high responsive compute locally while offloading high latency tolerant workloads to the cloud for incredible local results. Now, to me, that's basically him confirming that Microsoft is going to be having a game streaming service at some point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that quote of him saying
he said it before. He's confirmed.
Well, no, I know that, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they announced that at E3. But how close are we to Xbox having a dedicated streaming service that you can subscribe to Xbox Game Pass on, so you can play your Xbox games without the need of an Xbox console? You think we're pretty close to that reality?
I think we're pretty close. I mean, did you see the news today that Microsoft have opened 2 new data centers in Europe, probably to deliver this service. So they're opening new data centers in Germany, and obviously Europe is a big center for Microsoft, and they've got a data center in Ireland, I think, which serves the UK, and they're setting up new data centers in mainland Europe as well. So obviously you need data centers to deliver this kind of service. So I think they're ramping up to that end, man. There's going to be Microsoft data centers all over the place. Although it'll probably be World War III before we actually get this service, given what's happening with Russia and the UK right now. But it'd be nice, man. I want to see this happen. I want to see a company pull off a streaming service that actually works properly. Now, I haven't used PlayStation Now, but it doesn't seem to have caught on that much yet. But I do think that's the future, you know. I mean, have you seen how fast 5G is supposed to be?
You know, no, I have not seen how fast it's supposed to be.
Like, well, it's like well over 100 meg anyway, 5G. And you know, if like 4G is still rolling out, I get 4G where I am in the middle of nowhere. So if eventually everyone gets 5G internet and we don't even need cables anymore, you know, streaming's coming, man. Maybe not 5 years, maybe not 10 years, but Microsoft's getting ready for it, man. Oh, and Daniel J donated around super chat, I think.
I know. I didn't see that. Did you see what he said?
No, sadly.
I mean, look,
the chat was getting spammed up. Sorry about that.
I was hold on, look, I think I can bring that up because I do want to, you know, give him his props if he said something. Let me find out where this is, where it would have went to. 1 second. Okay, so Daniel J, thanks for the $5 super chat. He says, you can guarantee that Sony is going to stay competitive because they have the most to lose. That is what Daniel J had to say. I mean, as far as, yeah, I mean, Jez did say, I mean, PlayStation is the entire company basically at this point. You know, so they do have a lot to lose, whereas like Microsoft could cut out Xbox at a minute there. So, kind of funny that Mellowmine won the giveaway, but I don't think he has an Xbox.
Or maybe he'll buy one then.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not. Damn, I just assumed everybody had Twitter in this day and age. Oh well. We do have another code to give away, which I'll give away as like a Gleam giveaway on Twitter and stuff, so everybody can have a chance at that. But yeah, I think we're pretty close to streaming being a reality for Xbox. I think Game Pass was kind of built with that in mind, and Microsoft's whole philosophy of like play the games that you want to play on whatever device you want to play it on, whether it's Xbox and whether it's the PC. And I think now the streaming device will let them reach people that don't want to spend the money to get an Xbox, but have an app on the TV or on their iPads and all that stuff where the game runs in the cloud and you subscribe to a streaming service and you can subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. I think that's a reality that a lot of people are going to be either embracing or not embracing.
What if Game Pass comes with the streaming service for free? Like as a bundle. That'd be pretty cool. Right?
I mean, yeah, man, it could. I wonder though how far the streaming thing is going to be. Would we see potentially an Xbox app on the Switch in the future? Is that a possibility?
I personally think so. I personally highly think that this, in fact, when Xbox does streaming, it's going to be on everything. It'll be on Switch if Nintendo allow it, of course. It's going to be on phones, tablets. It'll be on PlayStation if Sony would allow it.
Right.
I think it's going to be everywhere. Microsoft just wants to be everywhere. That's why you get Office on Chrome OS now. They want to be everywhere with their services. They want you subscribe to them. I'm subscribed to Microsoft in multiple ways, and I don't even notice. It's just part of my monthly billing cycle now. I got Xbox Live. I got Office 365. And I had Groove Music as well until they killed that. Damn it. I'm still bitter about that round. But I think that's getting the streaming thing. I would never pay for Game Pass because I own most of the games. But I would pay for Game Pass if it got me the streaming service. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the stuff I wanted to talk about today. It was a pretty momentous occasion, 1 year anniversary of the Xbox 2 podcast. This is episode, I believe. Well, this definitely isn't episode 52. So I think there was a couple weeks here and there where, especially during the holidays and around E3 time, you weren't available to do it. But you look forward to doing another year of podcasting, Jez?
Hell yeah, man. I mean, I do want to get better at this. I want to see if we can improve our production values, maybe get some sponsors on the go. We could start off like Rand and Jez, sponsored by Arby's. Or Rand and Jez, sponsored by Tide Pods.
Tide Pods?
Yeah, Tide Pods. Well, that'd be cool to be sponsored by Tide Pods, right?
Right. You got to make sure it's saved Mellow Mind's PSN name in a notepad so I don't accidentally delete it. Let's see, Xbox Live winner. All right, so that's probably going to be the end of the show for now.
Take some questions.
Oh yeah, take some. Yeah, put up some questions in chat while I save this thing so we can answer them really quickly before we end the show. Let's see here.
Someone just typed it all -1.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, guys, drop us some questions. Right. So, actually, I'm going to answer a question that someone asked me earlier. Blah, 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 blah. What game are you excited for this year from Cali Rex? I mean, we can both answer this round. Actually, right now, the game I'm most excited for is a PC game called Battletech. It's like a turn-based strategy game, kind of like XCOM, set in the Battletech universe, so Mech Warrior, Mech Assault, and that sort of stuff. It's basically you and a team of giant customizable mechs fighting against all sorts of other mechs and stuff in a sort of apocalyptic world. That's kind of my jam, baby. And it's coming out in a couple of months, I think. That's the game I'm most excited for right now. I'm really getting into these strategy type games, Rand. I don't know what it is in my old age. I don't know. I'm intrigued by Battlefield 5 as well. I'm a huge Battlefield guy. I'm a big fan of all the Battlefields. I'm worried about EA screwing it up. I just don't like EA anymore at all. So we'll see how much pay to win they put in that game. But Rand, what game are you most excited for this year?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I mean, now that Shadow of the Tomb Raider is coming out this year, I'm pretty excited for that. But if I had to pick one game, it'd be Spider-Man.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Let's see.
Got a lot of
questions. Yeah, Tiger King says, "What do you think about the 24-karat gold Xbox? Maybe they will send you one." Nah, Microsoft doesn't like me that much, and that is a cool looking Xbox. Maybe I'll win it. And if so, I'll probably sell it. I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I just wonder how hot it gets. I mean, look, like I know some people ask me like, what did I get, from doing the presentation at breaking the million gamer score at E3 or whatever. I didn't get anything from that other than going to E3 and becoming friends with some of the people at Xbox and stuff like that. So I wasn't really looking for handouts, so to speak. But if they want to slide a 24-karat gold Xbox to my doorstep, I'll take it.
Jez, have you played Raging Justice? This is a question from Stephen Billiard. Raging Justice, for those who don't know, Raging Justice is kind of like a Streets of Rage homage game with sort of 90s style 3D sprite graphics. It's actually developed by an ex-Rare guy, I believe. I haven't played it myself yet, but it looks pretty cool. It's coming on ID Xbox pretty soon. It's been in development for years now, but it's a very, very small team. I think it's like a husband and wife team, if I remember right. It looks pretty cool. What are the questions you want to grab around?
Let's see.
What about mermaids being enemies in Sea of Thieves? Asks Scold Leaf. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. That'd be interesting. I don't know. I mean, mermaids are evil in the legends. I mean, if you've seen the more recent Pirates of the Caribbean movie, there's evil mermaids in that. So I'd be down for mermaids being enemies in Sea of Thieves. That'd be cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, whatever. I'm just interested in playing Sea of Thieves and see what they have for the full game. That's what I'm interested in.
Post-launch support is going to make or break that game, I think.
Scrotum wants to know if I'm going to double dip on Hellblade if it comes to Xbox. Of course I will.
I am too.
Boko Loco wants to know, how did Aaron Greenberg get his job? Please answer this. I'm assuming he had the qualifications for it, applied, and they gave him the job, right?
Aaron Greenberg's been there for...
Yeah, he's been there for a long time.
He's like a old school Microsoft dude. Irrelevant Native says, Ran and Jez, what's your favorite underrated game? That's a good question. Prey is going to be mine. I think Prey's
an underrated game. The first one that comes to my mind is Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, the 360 game. Yeah, you never heard? Well, yeah, underrated. It's from Ninja Theory. I think it's from Ninja Theory. It's a great game. Mega Bad Scene wants to know if the Call of Duty deal is still anyone's guess, and the rumors are still floating around. Have you heard anything? Nope, I have not heard. I have not asked. I mean, there are rumors that
I love this rumors based on
what he changing his avatar. And that supposedly they signed a 3-year deal, and the 3-year deal's up, right? Like with this one, I don't know. I'm assuming Activision will go with whoever paid them the most. And
wasn't there that whole thing where like a Call of Duty esports tournament had to switch to Xbox Live because PSN was too unstable?
Yeah, it was a FIFA tournament, I believe.
All right.
Yeah. What else?
Oh, Rand, you know what else is underrated? Mad Max.
What? Yeah. Phase 23 BKNY wants to know, which company do you think will market with Shadow of the Tomb Raider? If I had to guess, it'd be Xbox, but it might be a game that's not big enough to warrant an exclusive marketing deal. I don't know.
Square Enix might be reluctant to throw in with Xbox again because of the whole controversy. Maybe they want to reach out to Sony fans on this one a bit more. I don't know. Remains to be seen. What's your prediction on how Sea of Thieves will fare in review outlets? I think it'll be in the 80s. I think it'll do pretty well, and I think judging by how well it's done on streaming sites and stuff like that, and the excitement around the game, I don't know if many outlets will be willing to, bash on a game that's going to be popular in the short term. Not that I'm saying that reviewers don't have any integrity or anything, but sometimes how it goes down. I would predict the 80s. What do you think, Ran, for Sea of Thieves?
I think about there as well.
Yeah,
I think people really like it, and then I also think since it looks like they're not going to open up the game early for reviewers, people are going to have to rush it, and I think that will cloud a lot of people's judgments for the game.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too. There's not going to be any review program for Sea of Thieves. It's going to be everyone's going to be playing it on day one at the same footing. I'm not reviewing Sea of Thieves for Windows Central because I know too many people at the studio. I don't think I could be completely objective about it. So I'm letting Matt Brown's going to review it for us.
Yeah, I hopefully the servers work. Hopefully everything goes well. I know this is an online game, and Bethesda had a problem with holding review scores until the game was out, and the games didn't sell well as they should. So one have to wonder, is this the best way to go about the game, especially for a new IP and stuff? I don't know.
I don't think they're not holding the. I don't think they're holding the reviews necessary to stifle criticism. I think they're just doing it because the game needs to have players in it. and if only reviewers are playing the game, it's going to be a poor experience because
No,
a lot of reviewers can't play the game.
No, it wouldn't.
I think it would.
If they gave all the reviewers over codes over the weekend, and normally for that type of game, they give out about 3,000 to 4,000 review codes. I'm pretty damn sure their servers could shrink or expand to include, people that are playing the game, so they have that experience of seeing a ship every 30 minutes.
Well, if that's true, then it's the first game. I've been reviewing Microsoft games for 4 years now. That would be the first game ever they haven't given to reviewers early.
Oh, I'm sure it's just because the game's not done. In fact, I saw Joe Neat say that it's not finished yet.
Oh,
so it's probably just not finished.
Oh wow! So they've got a few days left then. In that case,
I guess. I mean,
you know what's going to be a shit show for Sea of Thieves
is if people go to play it, or if it doesn't go up in Game Pass right away, and when it does, the game doesn't work. Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Well, the Windows Store version, I was going to say.
Oh,
that's not going to work on day one. I guarantee. There's going to be something wrong with the Windows Store version. I think the Xbox version will be fine, but the Windows Store version is going to be interesting. And it's not going to be Sea of Thieves' fault. It's going to be Windows Team's fault because Windows Team doesn't seem to want to make the Windows Store any good.
Yeah.
Ryan Hicks with the super chat there. Thanks for the well wishes, man.
Thank you. Well done on a good show, lads. Thank you very much. We enjoyed doing the show. I enjoy podcasting with Jez a great deal. It's been a great 1 year with him. Here's to another year. Look for the giveaway later on today on Twitter to enter that. Thank you to everybody watching the show now, all the likes, all the comments, all the super chats. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on iTunes, SoundCloud, all that good stuff, thank you for listening. And don't forget, check my Twitter for the giveaway if you're listening to this on Friday or Saturday whenever Jez posts it. But Jez, what do you got going on before we get on out of here?
I've got 10 headsets to review. So I could literally build a small fortress out of headsets right now. So that's what I'm going to be doing the next week, and also writing about Sea of Thieves guides and that sort of stuff for next week. It's going to be a fun week next week, I think, for Sea of Thieves and stuff like that. We'll see if it can pull me away from Monster Hunter World.
Right. And as for me, I've been making videos as I normally do, Rand's Indie Spotlights, opinion videos. Like I said, check out the giveaway on Twitter for another year of Xbox Live Gold. If you like the show, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this content and all that good stuff. And we'll see everybody next week for whatever new is breaking in the video game industry, especially with the Xbox.
Yeah. We love you guys.
Later.